1 2 1 2 check 1 2. Good morning. It is the 17th of February. Feels like a month since I recorded, but I know it wasn't. It was probably like 10 days ago. I kind of have a idea of when the last time it was, because I've got into this habit now of at least posting once a week on DTube. I'd like to post daily there. I'd like to do daily vlogs, but my mind and my schedule is taken up so meticulously now in terms of per hour like functions that I just don't have the mental dexterity to like record a vlog every day. But I wanted to do one today because this topic came into my head, exploring bubbles. And I have a fresh coffee, so it's like perfect time to do it. So I recently had a birthday. We all have birthdays, but I recently had my birthday last month, and I'm getting to that age now where in a few years' time I'm going to hit a big number. And when you're trying to work out what you're going to do with the rest of your life and who you're going to spend time with, you kind of have a look. You start to really, really dig deep at those bubbles that you exist within. Be it career, be it relationship, be it like friends, everything, hobbies, everything that you do. I kind of see them as bubbles, right? So one big factor in the way that I live my life is that I've had a few big things in life that have really rocked me to my core in terms of finding my humanity and my humility. And I think the biggest one was going to Phil Campbell, Alabama, and going after a month after an EF5 tornado hit it, like a 200 and something mile an hour tornado, probably the highest one on the EF chart, and having this overwhelming sense that I needed to go there. Originally, it was a bit of a quirky video blogger, influencer kind of, let's go, it'll be fun, the name of the town, same name, yada, yada, yada. But it turned into something a lot more savage and unexpected, to the point that it completely changed my outlook on living life, trying to be sustainable, trying to not chase money, greed, career ladders. I wasn't interested in... probably before that I was, but after going there and seeing the devastation and seeing how something within minutes can like completely eradicate everything that you'd kind of work towards, because most people who have a job or have a career have, a really nice house to go with it and everything else. And, you could say, well, don't live in a tornado in a path of a tornadoes where all the tornadoes go. But we're living in a world now where the planet has fundamentally changed because of human behavior. Now, you can believe that or believe it not. Like, I don't want to argue the good or bad, which side of it. If you're standing on the fence, if you're like, oh, but it's a cycle, but, told you so. I'm not interested. Like, I've seen what I've seen firsthand, and I employ everybody to see these situations in life firsthand. You can't go on secondhand information, right? So that fundamentally changed me, because it was like, okay, so I could have the best things, I could have the biggest house, but if I, anywhere on earth could be trashed for whatever reason, from natural disasters to terrorism to just like, what's happening right now in Texas. And I think that's why I wanted to get into this exploring bubbles, because I used to go to Texas, I used to go to Austin, Texas every year for about 5 years, and it is one of those places in the world that I absolutely love, just because, it's kind of like a vacation place for me, but also a lot of the people that I have met in my life through social media before it was what it is today, which is just this toxic cesspool of, I don't know what it is, but like, I keep on seeing stuff from Texas, and obviously my heart goes out to all these people who are losing their lives and, not had power. And I suppose what I'm trying to say today is this whole exploring bubbles things is that we create these bubbles that we live in, that things are just, Texas is always going to be this certain temperature. It's always going to be warm. Climate change doesn't matter to us. We have oil. And yet now we're starting to see that, systems that we thought were in place are not in place. And especially for these people in Texas, seeing loads of people on TikTok posting videos about, being incredibly cold in their houses, expecting somebody else to take care of it because they've been paying money into a system that they thought was functional, that was being kept up to date. And I think we live inside of these bubbles because it's safer, right? We build our own infrastructural support network within inside of that bubble, right? Because it's easier to deal with, because we can't impact things outside of it, right? Or at least we don't think we can. And I think that's the reason why people run towards crypto. There is a lot of stuff in there where it's like, crypto will change the world. Well, it might change the world if we change with it. We have to change our approach to a lot of things, our behavior, our greed, how we're going to utilize these new methods. I understand wholeheartedly the idea of removing the middleman, right? That's fundamentally been something in my life that has always been there. There's always been somebody in the middle trying to take a slice off the top, and that's frustrating. After years and years and years and years of that happening, you get frustrated to the point that you want out of that. You want to go around it. You want to take the next side street, or you want to get the deal, and you can live in this survivalistic deal economy as well. You can create a bubble inside of that. So my heart goes out to all the people in Texas. Obviously there's people losing their lives, and those kind of temperatures are no joke because they're not used to it. Their infrastructure's not used to it. I heard stupid stuff like the wind farm things don't have heater units, so they're all frozen up, so they can't actually turn, and they have no ETA as to when it's going to come back online. And I guess also there's this kind of running narrative as well that Texas does everything big, and sometimes when I've been to Austin, Texas, it can feel like it's a different fucking planet, right? Texans will have it, everything's fucking massive in Texas, right? Because they've got a lot of wealth, or they had a lot of wealth at a certain point of time in history, and as the environment changes, I think a lot of places that have always been used to good weather year round, very little rain, suddenly having these big fucking systems and making them realize, oh shit, we aren't the world, we are part of a bigger world, and that world is changing, and those weather systems are changing, and your whole fucking life and situation can change in a moment's notice. So my heart goes out to him, because I only know Texas and Austin specifically from being warm. From good times, enjoyable times, walking down 6th Street, drinking beer in the warm at night, 11, 12 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, still warm as fuck. I had some good times. Now seeing these pictures of people in buildings where the temperature fucking ridiculous. So we all have our bubbles that we exist in, and we assume that by paying into these systems that the people who run these systems ultimately have our back, that they're servicing us because we're paying them money from the things that we've earned. So yeah, those bubbles are interesting to me, because how do you break out of those bubbles? How do you step outside of it? Because oftentimes when you have a bubble in life, be it like a helmet that you put on your head to go deep sea diving, you have the air inside the bubble, right? And as long as you've got air in there, then why would you step outside of it? It's unknown, right? You don't know if there's air outside that bubble. In fact, most of the time when you take that off, you couldn't take that helmet off in space, there's no fucking air. So it's that kind of level of fear to step outside of that bubble, to not just go along with everybody else, to step outside of it and make your own path, because you have to maybe lay down foundations that you never laid down before. So it's overwhelming for a person to do that, but I think that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to try and learn new things in my life about how to sustain myself in extreme situations, extreme weather. This is no joke. This shit's gonna happen all over the world, and it's already started to happen. Regardless if you agree with the data or not, and if you want to sit there and be a keyboard warrior and be annoyed about it and be like, yeah, but this is this and this and this. truth is, unless you've seen it firsthand, then you can't know for sure. Unless you felt it in your heart and seen it and seen people go through pain. You know, like that town of Alabama, the Phil Campbell, like, I think they lost anywhere between 20 and 30 people in a town of like 1,000. So everybody knew somebody's family. So it impacted families in some way, even if they didn't lose somebody in their family. Like the town lost somebody. And that impacts everybody at some point, you know. So I think exploring the bubbles that you're in today and what they might be tomorrow are very important in life. I know I've got a lot of work to do in terms of my relationship with money, with finance, with value, with putting in, you know, I want to put in more work. I don't want to just believe in this mantra that crypto will save the world. We still need people to make roads and build infrastructure and develop new power, you know, power that is sustainable. And so I'm interested in that. I mean, I was really interested in green jobs. I looked for years to get a job in sustainable energy and couldn't find anything. Yeah, I could have probably gone to the North Sea and learned for 4 or 5 years how to like assemble you know, wind turbines, but I'm fucking scared of heights, so there's no chance I was doing that. But like solar installer, like I would have loved to have done like solar installation and then maybe made a bit of money to like have a little electric car. It's just interesting to me, the bubbles that we create in our lives to feel safe, right? I'm sure Texas built a bubble around their whole lifestyle, the way they live, you know, because if you have abundance, like Texas has got all this oil and you've got money, like anything's possible, or you believe anything's possible. So you just keep throwing money at stuff to get bigger, to get better, to go longer, to go faster. But then Mother Nature comes along and drops a fucking snowstorm like this fucker, and then the bubble pops, right? The money you've been putting into maintaining the illusion of that bubble pops, because all of a sudden the things that you thought were taken care of are not taken care of anymore. And I think that's an important thing that we should reflect on every single day. Platforms, infrastructure, governments, careers, relationships, everything. They can be very delicate bubbles, and you can exist inside them, and sometimes you can, like, the bubbles collide with each other and you end up with a little space inside the bubble that overlaps. And if you try and get through into that, you pop both of them. So it's a delicate act of transition between bubbles, you know. And I feel like that's the world that we're moving into, is that we all need to be meteorologists now. We all need to know what the weather system's going to be like. We all got to prepare and understand extreme weather conditions. Super cold, super hot, right? There's no like, oh, well, let's have a look at the seasonal guide and it's going to be lovely next month. Bang, you know, weather system. Like, if you do a bit of research about like the jet stream, the Gulf Stream, and if you do a bit of research about oceanic tidal movements and stuff, once you start deep diving them and realizing how that data has changed and is changing rapidly, you can start to make some decisions about where you should be in the world and how to deal with that stuff. It's important to be able to adapt to that stuff. Money's not going to be the only thing that saves you from that. You can have all the Bitcoin in the world, but if you've got no power on to power your miners, or you can't send that transaction for any reason, it's like being in GoldenEye. It's like an electrical EMP hits the planet and all the electrical systems are gone. Where's your Bitcoin then? It takes a lot to reboot an EMP'd planet. And who knows what kind of weather systems we're going to end up with in the years. I know that sounds like fear, but again, it's just a little bubble that I frequent today. All right. You have a great day wherever you are on planet Earth. Be aware of your bubbles. Explore those bubbles. And pop a few. You know? Start again. See you soon. Drifting